I'm Danny Flexen, and he is Fuad Abdul-Aziz, the man himself. And although it might not look like it, we're actually in the same room.
I'm not Fuad Abdul-Aziz, I'm Canelo Alvarez. As we said that we were having him on the show, I'm right here. I've got a lot to say on my situation. So yeah, Danny, can you please introduce me right? I'm Canelo, I'm not Fuad.
Sorry, to introduce the WBC franchise champion, Canelo Abdul-Alvarez.
That's me.
He's in a dispute at the moment with his promoters, Golden Boy, led by Oscar de la Flexen. And we want to know, Canelo, how dare you, in a time of pandemic, insist on getting the full guaranteed minimum in your contract?
Mate, it's a madness. Whatever is going on, it's a madness. I can't believe I woke up to that. But there's just so much to it. First and foremost, the guy's not holding back. He's taking everyone down. Oscar De La Hoya and his promotion and DAZN. Let's quote what he said. He said, "I'm not scared of any opponent in the ring, and I'm not going to let failures of my broadcasters or promoters keep me out of the ring." Now,
wow,
it's a strong statement, strong words from Canelo Alvarez. What was your initial reaction to it, and what's your thoughts on the whole situation?
I guess I said this to someone earlier on Twitter, and I guess I feel like contractually, and I'm not a legal expert, but contractually, I feel he's right. Morally, maybe not so much. You know, insisting on a guaranteed minimum amount that may be contractually solid while there is a pandemic, while Livegate is not available, while some opponents may not be available, you know. But then I've read other reports that say Canelo was willing to take a reduction on his purse, not a massive reduction, but a reduction nonetheless. So it's a difficult one. From DAZN's point of view, they don't seem to have covered themselves adequately from the contract. They've asked for specific opponents, but not in the contract. They've specified premium or premier opponents in the contract. But then when challenged on it, apparently they've said guys like De La Hoya himself, Jorge Masvidal of the UFC, not the likes of Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, Jamal Charlo. For me, within the boxing community, active boxers, it seems like if it's not Triple G, then they're not happy. But there's a big difference between being unhappy and specifying in a contract it's Triple G or nothing if you want your guaranteed $35 million.
Exactly, and it's just such a weird. I don't think I've seen a situation like this ever, where those fights are still super fights. Canelo against Callum, Canelo against Billy are super fights, and they're still not enough for DAZN to put it on. That makes no sense. I literally cannot get my head around it. And Yildirim was meant to be next. Obviously, not a lot of people were exactly over the moon with Yildirim, but if that was the fight easiest to make and just see Canelo back in the ring, that's something, again, like you said, we're in a pandemic. You have to take those things and run with it at the moment. You can't pick and choose on everything. But for DAZN to not be accepting those fights and rather want Masvidal, who's in the UFC, who's got his own little thing going on, and De La Hoya, who is Canelo's promoter. I mean, I don't know. It's beyond me at this point.
They obviously see premium opponents as opponents they feel will generate a huge amount of interest and money, which I understand. But it's hard for any boxing fan or someone in the boxing industry to accept that a Billy Joe Saunders, you know, undefeated 2-weight world champion, a Callum Smith, undefeated #1 at super middleweight, aren't considered premium opponents for Canelo. I think the main problem is that they won't accept the money that's left over if Canelo still gets his guaranteed minimum. Because looking at the paperwork, it seems that Golden Boy get $40 million, $35 million for Canelo's minimum, plus $5 million for the opponent. Now, if Saunders and or Smith are willing to accept $5 million, the only way to make that pay is for Canelo to take a reduction, which we've been hearing he is willing to do, albeit maybe not as much as is necessary.
Do you think, though, here, this is an interesting point. Do you think from this point on, DAZN are going to start to lose even more credibility because of the situation they're having right now?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people out there who speculate the reason DAZN are being so hardline on the money at the moment is because of the rumours that they are in financial trouble. And, you know, if Canelo doesn't fight this year, how many more subscribers are they going to lose from what they've already lost during the pandemic? He's their number one star by a country mile, and they need to get him back in the ring. But it seems like they've already accepted that's not going to happen. So they're willing to instead try and save money. So it's one or the other, save cost or increase profit. But yeah, it doesn't reflect well on anyone involved, I don't think.
I've never thought of it like this when we talk about the zone, but it could be the beginning of a massive downfall if they don't start to take these opportunities, because like you said, Canelo is their biggest star alongside with Anthony Joshua, but Canelo in the US for sure, and the money he generates even for a Yildirim fight, if you're not taking those types of fights right now in the middle of a mad crisis all around the world, how are you going to develop to be this superstar company? And especially if a massive second wave hits and something happens like that again, then they're effed.
They are effed indeed. Yeah, it's a difficult one. You know, you look at De La Hoya, he's guided Canelo from the start. He's endorsed him as his popular successor in the Latino community. And it's a shame to see them at odds. But there does seem to be a bit of a thing building now. Golden Boy not putting on a lot of shows. They haven't been as quick out the gate as some of their competitors. There's been issues with De La Hoya and Ryan Garcia as well, who's in the Canelo camp, of course. So it doesn't look too good for Golden Boy at the moment. And Canelo's the jewel in
No.
their crown, there's no doubt. He's the one that's keeping them relevant and competitive in the current marketplace. But how much can they afford to bend over, for lack of a better phrase, and give him what he wants?
My point is this, right? Let's hold it aside for a second. The fact that Oscar De La Hoya can come out and say, "I am," he doesn't write off a potential Canelo fight at his age with his business, is crazy. The man runs a business and promotes this guy. Why are you leaving the speculation of him possibly fighting you? Like, it makes no sense. Focus on your business. I have a lot of admiration for Oscar De La Hoya in his fighting days, and he's a good manager. But at this point, it's going tits up. It really is. And I hate to say it, but you can't be doing that. Like, no one's going to turn around and want to fight their own fight. You're meant to be doing good for him in terms of lifting his career, which he has been doing through his career. But it's come to this point where Canelo is at such a high. I feel like Oscar's itching to grab some of that as well, some of that high.
Do you think DAZN are now regretting entering the boxing market?
No, because I feel like even though I said that it could be the beginning of the end, I feel like there's some sort of strategy that we don't know. I mean, you don't just invest $1 billion or whatever it was in the beginning and fail like that. I can't see that happening. My words of could it be the beginning of the end was just a thought, but I don't think they will regret it. I think they'll find a way around it somehow, one way or another. But they are dealing with a massive superstar in Canelo, and it's a new thing to have like this agreed contract, and then all these little things keep showing up now. I don't think that will make them regret coming into boxing. So no. What about you?
I think maybe they're starting to see that it's more hassle than it's worth. I bet it's not as. I bet negotiating football rights for some of the ones they've got is easier and less complex than some of the stuff they've been getting to now. Lawsuits, fights getting moved, fights falling through, all the things that make TV broadcasters generally over the years reluctant to make boxing a regular part of their Guys, apologies for the technical difficulties. I know some of you were talking about an echo on my end previously, and then we lost connection completely. Not my connection with Fuad. We'll always have a special bond.
Shut up. Shut up.
Guys, at the risk of tempting fate, let's hope this is third time lucky. Just before we lost our connection, we were talking about the Canelo Golden Boy DAZN saga, and we were just about to explain why Fuad and I are in the same building right now. And we're actually in the town hall and apartment in lovely Beaconsfield, East London. And we were just watching the Anthony Yard versus Dex Spellman press conference, which kicked off probably about an hour and a half ago now. We got all our one-on-one interviews afterwards. Fuad, what did you make of it? What did you make of the barbs exchanged up there? It seemed pretty gentlemanly, to be fair.
You're gonna have to say that again. I couldn't hear you.
Okay. We were talking about the Yard Spellman press conference and saying, what did you make of the dynamic? Because they seem quite gentlemanly up there.
Yeah. There's a lot of mutual respect between the two, as there should be. I think they both know what kind of fight they're getting into. Obviously, as confident as Yard is, like stylistically, it's a tough fight because Deck comes to fight. If you watch boxing, if you follow Deck, you know he comes to fight. He puts his heart on the line. His last loss against Arthur, and he lost against Shakan Pitters as well. He didn't look bad in those fights. He looked good. So I feel like stylistically this is a bit different. Yard says he wants to, finish the fight in fashion, and that, who knows? We see in boxing have so many ups and downs. Who knows? It could be a dramatic fight on Saturday. So I think Yard knows that and accepts that and respects that. But other than that, he made me absolutely poop my pants. Okay, he did when he started screaming, lying the camps out of nowhere. Didn't expect it. Yeah, but it was on the microphone, so it was super loud. Like it was out of the blue.
It nearly gave him a heart attack.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, that was pretty scary. It's like the new bomb squad around here, isn't it? So, but yeah, other than that, I'm actually really looking forward to the fight. Dex got a quick turnaround fight, so it should be interesting. He's got another chance to ruin the Yard versus Arthur fight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Without wishing to take away too much shine from the main event, it seems the fight that a lot of people are looking forward to is Mark Heffron against Denzel Bentley at middleweight. Two explosive, powerful, come-forward fighters clashing. And it's a kind of a grudge match, although we did a sit-down with them. They seem pretty friendly with each other. But it's a fight that's been talked about for over a year now, and I think they're both really keen to get it on.
Say that part again. I couldn't hear the second bit.
Mark Heffron against Denzel Bentley, a fight that's been talked about for over a year now, and they both seem very keen to get it on. And a fight a lot of fans are looking forward to, two explosive, come-forward fighters.
Exactly. I spoke to both of them, and they seem really excited, man. That's another fight. You know what? But all fights on this card, I don't know which one's going to be the filler fight, obviously, because Gorman's not fighting on the card anymore. But that one, exactly, you're right. People have been waiting for it. But I'm also looking forward to the Paynard versus Asuman fight. I think that's going to be quality. But the Heffron Bentley fight, like they said when they were up on stage, it's literally, it's going to be blow for blow, I think. They're both explosive punchers. Heffron's got that sort of experience ahead of him with 26 fights. So it's going to kind of show on scale where Denzel Bentley is. But that's another fight that could, go either way. Talk to me about that fight a little bit more, actually. In terms of, how much do you think experience comes into play? Because obviously he has more fights than him, but it's not like he's fought world beaters time and time again.
No, I was discussing this with someone last night, and they both fought a kind of similar level of opposition, but Heffron's just fought a lot more of them because he's had more fights. But Heffron does have that GB amateur experience that Bentley lacks, and if it comes down to a boxing match rather than a shootout, then that could prove pivotal. But I don't know, Heffron's career has kind of meandered a little bit, and Bentley seems to be the man on the rise. And I think that timing, as Tunde Ajayi would certainly agree, everything is timing, and I think that could prove crucial when it comes to the fight on Saturday.
Yeah, and also, like, I know it's not a mad difference in activity, but Heffron was last out in February. Denzel's already experienced the no crowd situation and everything. So I think in that terms, he's got a little bit of activity on his side as well on that. But I want to also give the other fight on the card a bit more limelight. Asuman against Paynard. Asuman's got a real chance to really
leave a statement for the rest of the division, and definitely Conor Benn, should he come through with a victory on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good fight. I think the main attraction, let's be honest, is the measuring stick quality between Essuman and Ben based on how he gets on against Payno. Payno's a good fighter, durable, knows what he's doing in there. But Essuman, again, another former GB amateur, great conditioning, good technical boxer, should really get the job done. And he'll be hoping that he grinds him down and stops him in the later rounds, something Ben wasn't able to do over 2 fights. The first one, he was lucky to not lose, a lot of people would say. So, interesting fight, pushes forward the case for Essuman against Ben, ultimately. But yeah, I think it'll be entertaining, and I don't think it's a fight that's going to be over in the first half. So that makes it fun for everyone.
And I was actually shocked to find out that Essuman's 31 years of age. He doesn't look it. In his fights, I've watched a few highlights of him here and there. Doesn't really take many punches as well. Got a good style for that. But he's going to be like definitely wanting to make something, like I've already mentioned, because it's almost like now he's going to take those big fights one after another, and he's signed with Frank. So the Conor Benn fight's a bit of a reachy one, but I feel like there's other big fights in that division for him to take straight after this. He's going to be involved in some big fights should he come through on Saturday.
Just before we move on to another topic, I just want to quickly recap on what we discussed earlier for anyone that missed it. We were talking about the dispute between Canelo, Golden Boy and DAZN, and apparently, well not apparently, we've seen the documents this morning, I think most boxing fans have, Canelo and his team taking Golden Boy, his promoter of record, and DAZN to court because they are not willing, it seems, to offer his guaranteed minimum contracted purse for fights that they don't deem to be premier or premium fights, although their idea of premier premium seems to differ somewhat from that of Canelo, Golden Boy, and a lot of boxing fans. And Fuad was
of everyone in the boxing world. Of everyone in the boxing world, not just certain people. Of everyone in the boxing world.
Who would you say in this kind of 3-way stalemate, as it stands? Who would you say has got the most to lose?
Between Canelo,
3
DAZN,
parties involved, yeah.
Golden Boy. No, it's not Canelo. I don't think it's Canelo by any means, because Canelo can always sort of rise into any situation. Golden Boy would be losing their biggest fighter, if that came about, and DAZN will be losing probably DAZN. What about you?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I don't think Golden Boy are in a great position either, though. I think they've got some good prospects coming through, but the fragmented relationship between De La Hoya and Ryan Garcia has been well documented. So I'm not sure how secure their grasp on those guys is. And if they were to lose Canelo, I think that's a huge blow to them. They're no longer one of the major players in promotion. But also, if they lose DAZN, that's a big impact. Where would they go? You know, Showtime and Fox are allied to PBC. DAZN will still work with Eddie Hearn and other promoters, presumably. HBO, no interest in boxing at the moment. So it's very precarious for Golden Boy. And, you know, Canelo seems to be the one holding all the power. DAZN, there's rumours of financial issues, so they don't want to lose him or lose money, which is kind of why the dilemma's arisen. But out of all of them, I think Canelo's the one who can kind of sit pretty and wait and see how it all pans out.
Yeah, and if Canelo, as he is taking him to court and everything that he's doing, becomes sort of the victim of this whole situation, any other superstar that, you know, gets an opportunity from DAZN might not take it, because they might be like, all right, well, I've seen what's happened here before. Do I really want to get myself into that? And then DAZN find themselves in this sticky situation where people don't want to sign with them because of their history.
And ultimately, it's all about money. Now, there's rumours that Oscar De La Hoya is struggling because that's why he's talking about a comeback, because there's no one else that... I mean, DAZN said in their limited list of people they considered premium opponents for Canelo, Oscar himself was on there, as was Jorge Masvidal from the UFC, but that's another bizarre story. But the point is, they need... Golden Boy obviously need that draw. And then you look at DAZN, there's been rumours of financial instability within their company as well. They're struggling to put big fights on. They're struggling to get Canelo, their star attraction, out this year. The only one out of the 3 parties not apparently struggling for cash is Canelo, because whatever happens with him, he's always going to make money, and that gives you power. That gives you power in negotiations.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, Canelo can make himself a victim in this situation, and he's a powerhouse of an athlete, and when you have that type of power, you can run with it. And I think he's doing exactly the right thing, though, to be honest, in this situation where it's like we discussed. If you guys want to go back and watch it, it's such a strange situation for this to happen in the boxing world, where it's not just 1v1, it's 1v2. They're like literally getting everyone involved.
And just before we let you guys go out there, it seems that a fight now between Terence Crawford and Kell Brook for the WBO welterweight title is moving ever closer to being signed and sealed for later this year. Fuad, before we get your take on that, I don't know if you want to tell us what Kell Brook might have to say about it.
Bobby, listen. No, I'm not going to do it. Look, we spoke about it a few episodes ago, and I think would I like to see Kell have a few more fights before that type of fight? 101%, because Terence Crawford is pound for pound, arguably to a lot of people's list, the best. And we saw the type of skill set he has. But don't get me wrong, if Kell Brook shows up and finds this incredible something inside of him, he could beat Crawford. Listen, he had no chance against Golovkin, right? According to a lot of people, although he was active around the time, and he hadn't.
Weren't they?
Yeah, and he hadn't taken like a defeat at that point, so he had a lot more motivation going into that. But I'm still looking forward to it, and I'm just kind of happy for Kell, because it's been so long since he's got a big fight. Not just because of the big fight and the opportunity to win the title, but so he can secure a bit more money, and that's what boxing is ultimately all about, really.
I guess my main concern for Brook going into the fight is not that he'll be overmatched from a skill perspective or that he can't hold his own, but more that with the limited time available till when they're talking about the fight happening, has he been keeping in shape during the lockdown? Because getting down to 147 anyway is a massive challenge. Getting down to 147 for Kell Brook with limited notice is nigh on impossible at this stage of his career, isn't it?
No, I've been watching him train. I've seen a few clips being released. He looks all right. We've seen Kell in the gym quite a few times where he's really out of shape, living the life of a regular person and not an athlete. But I've been keeping tabs on Kell via social media, and he looks in good nick, man. Of course, that's going to be another key factor. Can he get down to 147 comfortably, because he struggled so many times? That apparently was the big factor against Errol Spence, where he had another brilliant performance, but towards the end of the fight, the weight played a part, but obviously the eye injury as well. We just don't know with Kell Brook. Kell Brook, it's one of them. You don't know till it happens, and we're going to have to wait and see. I'm excited. I'm just happy it's happening. And he's got time now anyway. What are we in? We're in September. The fight's been talked about for what date?
I think I read November, but I can't remember the exact date.
I'm here. I thought it was December, but even if it's end of November, that's cool, because he still gets a lot of time to get down to that weight. And like I said, he's already in good nick. But yeah, other than that, all the best to Kell Brook. I really hope we get an exciting, thrilling fight, and hopefully there can be a few fans in the arena so they can pump him up like the Golovkin fight.
Fingers crossed. Well, we want to just say we appreciate all of you watching, especially for the fact that you've stuck with us despite our technical difficulties that caused us to lose you twice, and the constant echo, not Echo Essuman, who we should be talking about, but the echo on the line. Well, next time we do this, next week, Tuesday, we'll be back in the comfort of our own homes, back on the reliable broadband. Not going to name the providers, but I'm sure we won't have similar problems next week.
Much better quality next week. Much better quality coming.
There you go. Fuad's guaranteed it now, so you can send your hate mail to him if it does go wrong. Really appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you all again next week. And yeah, comment, give us an up or down vote depending on what you thought of the show, and we'll see you all soon.